Well, one of the first things we did when we came to Central Florida, which was a week after we got married, we came here and he started, what brought him here was the Orange County Charter Commission and developing the charter government for Orange County, and that was in 1972. And that's what brought us to Central Florida, and we never left, no reason to. Too beautiful.
Congressman Mica was elected to the state legislature in 1976 from here, obviously, this Central Florida. And we were put in offices in the top of the old Capitol building back in '76. The current Capitol was not open yet, it was under construction. John Mica's office was across the hall, so where my office was. And so we got to know each other then.
We were all in the House together, at least John and I were in the House together we were elected in '76, so we had one term there, 2 years, and then Rich joined us in '78, and so we were all there together, '78 to '80, and then in 1980, one of our sitting senators, Bill Gorman, he was leaving, and so John and I ended up in a Republican primary running for that Senate seat.
And Tony Jennings won that race.
But that was probably one of the best things that ever happened to him, because he was able to take over management of the U.S. Senate campaign that year for Senator Paula Hawkins, who won. John became her state director and then chief of staff.
That's done. Now where do I go? So then Seminole County folks came to John and said, we want you to run. And that's how that all started, and that was 24 years ago.
We connected immediately. I called him up and said, I know you're going to win. Would you like to get together? And so I was really delighted to be his first chief of staff and longest.
But we've got to get this transportation bill done. This isn't just...
When you think about particular issues, you can't think about John without thinking about transportation, and transportation here in Central Florida.
He was able to leapfrog over 4 or 5 other more senior members of Congress to become the ranking minority member, ranking Republican, and then chairman of the Transportation Committee. Locally, there are so many things that his fingerprints are on that people don't even remember. Here in Seminole County, it is particularly interesting and important because back in the 90s, if you were taking the Greenway, 417, it stopped at the county line. And John Mica worked hard to accelerate the funding for what we call the missing link and connect the Greenway to I-4.
Sunrail that took, or any kind of commuter rail, any kind of rail in Central Florida, he had been working on since the day he went to Congress.
He was involved in restoration of old government buildings, very, very much involved in that. Very big supporter of veterans, our veteran community, and we worked vigorously in Medical City, and the VA hospital was an important component of that. This was the perfect project. It was both helping our warfighters in the past and building something. He must have been in heaven. Preservation of good things and trying to prevent bad things, I think, are sort of an earmark for John's reputation and the work that he did in the nation's capital.
If you are serious about public service, you want to leave a legacy.
I think the visitor center at the Capitol was one of the biggest things that he's the most proud of.
And I know that's one of his most important achievements, and I think that's his gift to America. And his name is on the cornerstone. I will tell you, he does have his eccentricities, like making sure that he keeps that McDonald's cup for that free senior coffee, even if he gets it at a different McDonald's from where he bought it.
Well, you know, John always said he was tight with the taxpayers' dollars, just like he was with his own. Well, that's true.
John was roasted at Tiger Bay a few years back, and I actually presented him with a new empty McDonald's cup so he could get good use out of it for his refills in the future.
But in truth, he's really one of the most generous individuals that I've ever met.
Well, the thing that I admire a lot about John, his commitment to his family, and he's got a secret weapon, Pat. She really helps John a lot with his campaign and making sure that he's in the right place at the right time and so on. But I think his commitment to his family is very, very powerful.
We have 2 children. We have Deanne, and who's the oldest, and Clark. He was always very much a family person and is to this day. I think as a dad, he's someone that they've both been able to look up to.
The man has a quiet demeanor, a pretty dry wit, And he is very loyal to his friends. And those kind of things are real traits of character to me.
I would describe John as a natural leader. He's always been one who's not afraid to stand out and speak his mind and try and bring people his way.
The constituents are the most important part of the job. You have your voting, which, that's important, but if you don't take care of the people that need the help, who else is there to do it?
When you ask about his greatest achievements, it has to be plural because to paraphrase something that the Orlando Sentinel once said in an editorial about Congressman Mica is that every member of Congress should aspire to be the kind of public servant John Mica was and still is. And they were right because he took his job very, very seriously. So many members of Congress go to vote and maybe not accomplish much. He went up there with an idea that he wanted to make something happen. He wanted to make change for the good, not only for his district, but obviously for the nation.